Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into today's video. For today's video, I will be reviewing the all-in-one 16-piece starter kit from MODELONES. MODELONES was kind enough to reach out to me and send me this kit to review for you guys, so I do want to start off by saying thank you so much to MODELONES. Now let's go ahead and open everything up and see what's inside. So first we have this really cute little mini lamp, which they call the Meow lamp, and I think that's so cute. It also comes with this solid cream color cube, and it does come with 9 different colors. We also get some base and top coat. We also get 2 different types of polygel colors, one in a pink nude and one in clear. And these 2 polygels do come with its own slip solution as well. And here we have some black and white gel polish. Next up, we do also have some nail forms, some really cute little butterfly nail decorations, some colorful nail gems, a dual-ended polygel brush and picker, and last but not least, a mini nail file. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of these items. Here I have all of the items laid out for us in display, and on the MODELONES website, this kit runs for about 50 bucks, which means after doing the math, each product is worth about $3.13, which is a pretty good deal. So I am going to start off by giving this mini lamp a closer look. What I will say is that I think this is a great space saver, especially for someone who is a beginner. However, do bear in mind that you do need a USB charger for this. Now, I will be going ahead and testing out these polygels later in the video, and I was super excited because I haven't used polygel on the channel yet. So yeah, definitely excited to use this. And of course, I will be pairing it with the slip solution. Here we have the color cube, and I was most excited to try this out because I just fell in love with the packaging. And to be honest, it's little details like this that really do catch my attention. Upon opening this up, I did realize that the lid is magnetic, so that was definitely a plus for me. Here are all of the 9 colors as soon as you open it up, and do not worry, this does come with a protection sticker. I did go ahead and take that off before filming this part. And as you guys can see, these colors are super vibrant, even on camera. These colors are definitely good for the spring as well as the summer. This color cube does also come with this applicator brush, and I'm not gonna lie, I definitely had a hard time trying to get it open, but this was a plus for me because I personally do not like when the tops of my brushes come off super easily because that just leaves room for them to get damaged. And so I am definitely not complaining when I say it was difficult to open. And here again, I'm just showing you guys the details on these items, which I definitely was just really enjoying. And here we have the dual-ended brush and picker, which you use for your polygel. I didn't end up using it in today's video because I wanted to opt for a bigger brush, but what I will say is that the brush size is definitely more on the normal side. The brush itself isn't too big or too small, and the bristles aren't too long or too short, so definitely right in the middle. Of course, on the other end, we just have our normal classic picker. And as I mentioned prior, we do have a base and top coat, which I have used in the past. These are definitely my go-tos, especially if I'm looking for something with good quality that is also cost effective. Again, this does come with a black and white gel polish, which I will go ahead and swatch for you guys later. And here we have those dual forms again, which I did not end up using for my set. But what I will say is that if you do use dual forms, these are definitely more straight than a lot of other dual forms, which I think is definitely a better option for most. And as you can see here, there isn't a ton of dual forms in here, and I'm assuming that's because these are meant to be reused. And again, we have those cute little colorful nail gems. And once more, we have those nail butterflies, which come in like pink and green, and they're a little bit reflective, I will say. And lastly, we have that nail file with 2 different grits. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start swatching out the black and white for you on camera. And as I did mention before, I do already use MODELONES gel polish. These are definitely some of my go-tos, especially when it comes to the simple colors, so like black, white, and any of the rainbow colors in between. Here I'm gonna start with the first layer, and as you can see, it's not 100% opaque, but I actually don't mind that because I prefer a gel polish that's a little bit more easy to build instead of something that's just super thick and cakey. But even with that first layer, you can tell that it definitely has a good opacity and it won't be hard to build it up on that second layer. And here's what that black gel polish is looking like once everything is swatched. Now I'm going to go ahead and swatch out that white as well. Now this is personal opinion, but I do feel like it's a bit harder to build up a white gel polish rather than something that's a little bit darker, but I was still able to build up a pretty good opacity with just 2 layers using this white gel polish. So I did go ahead and swatch the colors from the color cube off camera. I didn't want to include it because it literally took me like 35 minutes. Now I will note that building up these color creams were a little bit more difficult. However, this is after 2 coats and I think it did a pretty decent job. So now with all of the colors swatched, we can finally jump right into the nail art. Of course, I'm starting off with my peel off base coat already applied so we can just jump straight into it. As per usual, I'm going to be going in with my XXL nail tips, and I'm just going to size them out really quickly just to save some time. And next, I'm just going to go ahead and cure these tips on with some matte top coat. And before I start cutting down these tips, I am going to go in with 1 more layer of matte top coat just to lock everything in. Now because the polygel tubes are a little bit more on the smaller side, since this is a starter kit, I will be cutting my nails pretty short just to save some of that product. And now I'm just going to go in with a layer of base coat. So I did go ahead and try out this mini nail file, and it is a bit on the softer side because it does have a higher grit. I personally don't really like to use nail files with a higher grit, but I will say that it did a pretty good job at filing my tips and it held up pretty nicely. So before we get into the polygel application, I will be going in with the purple just to create a nice ombre. Now for these color creams, I did have to use about 2 coats because like I said, it is a little bit harder to build up the opacity. But after 2 coats, I think the opacity was exactly where I wanted it to be. And now I'm just going in with a layer of top coat just to protect that color. For my application today, I will be starting off using this pink nude. And I'm just going to put a little bit of a slip solution into my dab-and dish. Make sure that when you are using a dab-and dish for your slip solution, that your dab-and dish is nice and clean. My index finger, I did do this nail in 2 beads because I wasn't exactly sure how the consistency was. Polygel is definitely more on the softer side. However, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily sticky or runny. I did notice that it was a little bit easier to manipulate it and work it into exactly how I wanted it to look. However, I didn't really have too many issues with flooding or it sticking to the brush, so I thought that that was really good. I will also note that my nails are obviously shorter in this video, and if you are doing your nails longer than mine, then you might actually run into some issues with flooding the more you let it sit. But specifically with my experience, I didn't have too much flooding at all, and I spent maybe about 5 to 6 minutes on each nail because I'm not the greatest with polygel. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that. But after deciding that I liked it, I did go ahead and cure this for 60 seconds. And now we're gonna move on to the cuticle bead. What I found that was, because I don't necessarily really close the gap between my cuticle and my nail beds, is that I didn't have that much flooding. But if you do work closer to the cuticle than I do, then definitely be careful during this step and don't oversaturate your brush in the slip solution, because I find that that does also make it a little bit more runny. And that's not entirely exclusive to this polygel in specific. I think that overusing slip solution with any polygel can definitely ruin the texture and make it just super runny and not fun to work with. So here is the nail fully completed, and I'm gonna go ahead and cure it for 60 seconds. And at this point, I was pretty happy with how the results were looking, so I decided to go ahead and do the exact same thing to my pinky and my thumb. The only difference that I did is for my pinky, I did it in 1 bead, whereas on my thumb, I did it in 2. So exactly the way I did it for my pointer finger. And even with working with a single bead, I didn't have too many issues with flooding. This is because, again, I don't work too close to my cuticle. Now, this may sound a little bit weird, but I do like to see a little bit of my natural nail color underneath any nude that I use, because I do like that transition from my nail color into the color of the nude that I'm using. So that's one of the reasons why I don't work so close to it. And I think another thing is that when you go in and you seal those cuticles, you're kind of filing away most of what you applied. So in my opinion, kind of just like backing up from the cuticle and just allowing it to sort of mesh into the natural nail on its own, it just makes the sealing process a little bit better, and it also makes it look a little bit more natural. So for my middle finger and my ring finger, I am going to be doing an ombre using the same nude. I really wanted to do an ombre because I feel like that's a good test to see how polygels work, just to see if like they blend into each other very nicely. And what I did find is that because these are softer polygels, the blending process was very simple. You really don't have to put in too much work. Not to mention I am using a pastel purple, and because they're both lighter colors, they do mesh together a little bit better. So now we're going to go ahead and cap using this clear. And what I will say, to be honest, this clear was definitely very difficult to work with. I did not enjoy it at all. It was definitely a little bit more runny and sticky than the nude polygel, which I understand that, you know, they probably do have a different formula, but it was sticky to the point where I couldn't really work with it too much because it did feel like it was almost like a hard gel, like I wasn't supposed to be using it as a polygel. Another thing that I did notice is that there was a lot more visible air bubbles in the clear than in the nude. I really didn't have too many air bubbles in the nude at all, unless I did kind of reuse some of that polygel, like stick it back in the tube and then squeeze it out for my cuticle bead. But for the most part, I didn't have any bubbles that were like substantially annoying or anything like that. But for the clear, you could definitely see a lot of those air bubbles. Now it could be because of the formula of the slip solution, because I do feel like that kind of affected how many bubbles there were. Not exactly sure. I think if I were to use this polygel again, I would definitely try using the polygel with a regular isopropyl alcohol. But just from using this clear this first time, I definitely did not like it. It was definitely a little bit too difficult to work with for my liking. But despite that, I did try my best, and I think overall my application came out pretty okay, especially considering that I don't do polygel often. So now I'm just going to go ahead and speed through this shaping process. I'm not going to fully explain everything in today's video because I don't want the focus to be on that. So if you do want to see how I shape and file my nails, you can go ahead and watch some of my other videos. I pretty much run down exactly how I do it in all of my videos. But for today, I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Okay, so here's what everything is looking like once I've completely shaped and filed these nails. And you guys can probably tell that the air bubbles from that clear layer is still peeking through a little bit, but there's not much I can really do about that. So because I wasn't exactly sure about what type of nail art I was going to do for today, I did go in with a single layer of base coat. So for today's nail art, I will be going in with that same purple gel polish from this color cube. And I did actually go ahead and mix it with a little bit of white just to make it pop out and stand out from the purple ombre that I did on my middle finger and my pinky finger. And after mixing together these two colors, it did kind of remind me of the Savouline paints that I use in my other videos. And what I will say is that it definitely had a better consistency in comparison to those because it wasn't as sticky. But what I will say is that it obviously wasn't as opaque. So that was one of the downsides, but I didn't mind too much because I do like to build my gel polishes. But besides that, for today's nail art, I will just be kind of showing you guys what I'm doing. I won't be doing too much explaining in this video. I haven't really done this much explaining in the video so far because I don't feel like this should be a tutorial based video. Not to mention, I do a lot of talking in the majority of my videos, and I've been kind of trying to keep a good balance between talking a lot and just allowing you guys to observe what I'm doing, because I feel like when I talk a lot, it can definitely distract you from what I'm actually doing. So I think it's a good idea to maintain a good balance between visual learners and someone who learns better by listening. So I definitely want to cater to both and make sure that everything is nice and balanced. But of course, I'm going to stop rambling and just let you guys enjoy this nail art, and we will be back at the end. Okay, so here is what everything is looking like once I've completed the nail art, and I really do love this little design. I think it's super cute. And to finish off the set, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of cuticle oil. And here are the final results. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I do just want to say thank you so much to MODELONES for allowing me to review this kit for them. I definitely had a really good experience with this kit. Even though I didn't like the clear polygel that comes with this kit, I think everything else that comes in it is definitely worth the price, and the fact that this kit comes with 16 different items and I only disliked one of those items, I would say that it's definitely a pretty good ratio. And so with that being said, everything that I used in today's video along with the starter kit will be linked down in the description box below. But as always, I would love to know what you guys think of this set. Enjoyed this video overall. Feel free to do all of the YouTube-y things like comment, subscribe. I normally don't ask anyone to do that because it feels a little bit weird, but if you are feeling generous, I would definitely appreciate any of those. But as always, I do want to say thank you all so much for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in the next one.